Steve?
Thanks, Brian. Attorneys across the nation are carving out a new niche, divorce for men. They want to make sure that their male clients get a fair shake in a system which traditionally favors women, some say. But do men really need extra protection in the courtroom during divorce proceedings? Let's talk to divorce attorney Joseph Cordell. His firm specializes in representing men. And joining us here in New York is divorce attorney Vicki Ziegler. She's the author of The Premarital Planner. Welcome to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
You bet. Joe, let's start with you. Why do men need extra protection in the courtroom?
Well, you can look at simply the statistics, and they're overwhelming. And the fact is that, the corner of the room among civil rights causes in America that is neglected still is that of the rights of men in domestic relations cases.
Sure. And Vicki, historically, men have, if you look at the stats, been the underdog when it comes to things like custody hearings and battles and stuff like that.
Certainly, but you don't need a male attorney, quite frankly, to zealously advocate on behalf of a client. Certainly have represented many men who are looking for shared custody, looking for alimony, and to me, it's gender neutral in terms of representation. It's the laws, it's the judges, and it's really zealous advocacy. That's really what gets the clients the results. And representing many men in my career, sometimes there's professional chemistry that goes on. Sometimes certain clients want a female, sometimes they want men. But to certainly say that either you're going to ostracize one genre just because you think that they're going to be disadvantaged in the court is certainly not what I subscribe to, and necessarily I don't think is needed.
Joe?
Well, first of all, let me clarify a misunderstanding. Cordell & Cordell is not comprised of just male attorneys. I mean, we're probably the largest domestic relations firm in America. We have attorneys across the U.S., and probably 60% of our attorneys are women. In fact, the other Cordell of Cordell & Cordell is my wife. So you're right. It doesn't matter that the gender of the attorney. What matters is the mindset and the attitude of the attorney regarding discrimination. I mean, it's understandable that guys are going to be predisposed to hire an attorney who at least acknowledges that these statistics, such as 97% of the alimony orders in America are issued against men. Doesn't that smell of something of bias or discrimination? At least as a firm, we acknowledge that discrimination exists.
Joe, and let me tell you, though, the statistics show that women are paying more and more alimony. They're becoming the breadwinners, and there's a huge disparity in income. And quite frankly, I think statistics say 10%, 20% have gone up in the last 20 to 30 years. So I think that's changing, and you have a valid point. At the end of the day, I think as long as the attorney is looking for the best interest of the client, then it doesn't really matter what your gender is. You're going to go out and zealously advocate, fight for your client no matter what the cause is. And as attorneys, we're not supposed to put our emotions into it. We're supposed to look at the law and apply the facts. And that's what I think we probably do.
Sure, but one of the problems, Joe, and I'll give you the final word, is the fact that a lot of the laws that you're talking about were written 50, 60, 70 years ago when mainly it was the men who were the breadwinners.
Yeah, and I grant you, Vicki, it's some consolation that there's been, however glacially slow, some progress. But it's not enough. It wasn't enough in the South in the 60s for us to progress at the rate that we did, and nor should we tolerate these sorts of discriminatory practices in family courts against men, which incidentally the entire bar will acknowledge, at least acknowledge among itself, less inclined to do so to the public.
All right, we're going to end it right there for today. Vicki Ziegler and Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell in St. Louis. Give our best to your wife, Joe. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Yeah.
All right, 28 minutes now after the top of the hour.